No. I'm going to keep it here. Hey, thanks for another edition. Thanks. I'm thanking them for another edition. I'm the one that kind of did that. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Chronic Conversations. As always, I am the host, Jerry Anderson, a.k.a. Jerry Leonard, here with my co-host and beautiful wife, Jen. Say hello, Jen.
What's up?
She's just back off camera a little bit. And joining us shortly will be the Monster Cyrus. Going to do a shout out real quick. Let me pull up my buddies. This is first live feed, first live show, so bear with me. All right, where you at, buddy? All right, this is a shout out to Movement Radio. They're another great podcast. Movement Radio is a podcast where Chip Hazard, Talon Williams, and Roger Sierra talk music, sports, battle rap, comic, haunted places, urban legends, family life, and much more. We can assure you that you will either learn something or laugh your tail off. I can tell you right now, all three of those are great guys, and they're very interesting, and you should definitely check out that podcast. Now, just a few little things coming up for Chronic Conversations. May 19th, we have the Comic Coco joining us. 21st, we have Sean Thompson, and it's 4611 Boxing Promotions. A gentleman's going to come talk about that and some pro fights that are coming to Chattanooga. The 26th, we have Suit Man, who is a promoter and stand-up comedian as well. We have some other great guests and upcoming guests we're working on. We also have some live casts coming out. One of those pro boxing events, hopefully the weigh-in will be able to be at that, doing a live cast. We also have something at a place called Level Up where there's some great bands from, there's Joey Whitehead's going to be there, Chris Crunk, Sam Stedman, Good Grief, a lot of great guys, a lot of great bands. There's pool tables, pinball machines, all kinds of different fun stuff to do there as well. It's adults only, and that's the 18th. We got two Panama City specials coming up June 30th and 4th of July, and we'll talk about those more a little bit later. And now I'm going to bring on our very, very special guest now that we busted him out of the Japanese prison, and he has so kindly agreed to stop swatting at airplanes and climbing buildings. Mr. Simon McWhorter. Hey, man, how's it going? Thanks so much for joining us, brother.
Hey, man, thanks.
It is great to have you. So we actually have quite the history going back.
Yep.
My brain's not so good at remembering those things. You're a little bit younger and a little bit thicker skull and taking a few less headshots. So about how long ago is that we first met in UEW? What year was that? Or can you remember how many years ago?
Ali, that was 04, 05, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
So about many years ago?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I have a list of places that we've kind of connected on, and I'm going to ask you some questions a little bit about each. I've also had a couple of requests, something about injuring a little person and something about a biscuit head. So we'll get to that stuff later too.
All right.
All right. So first, these are some UEW memories. That's where we met. That's the second place actually I wrestled. By time length, I was probably a veteran at that time, but by knowledge, I was still so fresh and learning myself, but yet I was kind of in a teaching position a little bit too. Mm-hmm. So we trained together. I helped train you, you helped train me kind of thing. And, you know, some MMA, some technical stuff. But one of the things I was working on you with, I thought it would be really awesome if you could do the DDT plant.
Yeah.
So I just discussed this with you and you know, you talking to an elder trusted me and thought that would be a good idea yourself at the time and decided you would try it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we went over it and went to do it. And instead of the kind of straight up and down, we got pretty much put your head through the mat, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was so impactful. We talk about to this day. Still feel bad about it, but you did learn how to properly take a DDT. So there's that. And since that day, I feel like your career skyrocketed. So, you know, you're welcome.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that whole time, I got to make it look real.
It looks so real. You sold that so good, sir.
I did. I think I sold it really well. So
I think if that had been in a match, they would have really bought that I knocked you out.
Yeah. It was definitely a star seer.
What do you remember? What are some of your fondest memories about UEW?
Golly, man, I loved the back room. Like, you had all the older guys. Like, you had Kenny, and then you had Woody.
Skinny Kitty Arden, yeah, Woody, Big Wood, Greg Hollander.
Yeah, Chucky Chuck, of
Chucky
course.
Chuck.
Yeah, man. Rawhead Rex, of course.
Rawhead Rex.
Yeah, that was. Golly, Jamie Kyle. That was
Jamie Kyle.
It was a wild group back there, man.
It was. It was a real outlaw show. It was one of the last real outlaw shows. I feel like, nowadays everything's an independent show, but back then there were some independents and there were some outlaws, and that was definitely an outlaw show.
Yeah, there was a lot of great stories at that show. I mean,
yeah. So some that we may be under legal obligation not to tell, and some that we may get to for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of my memories. Is it's the first place I ever had what's called Hunch Punch.
Yeah.
I had some people who I didn't think were my friends tell me to stop drinking because I was going to, I had a match and was going to be physical later. And then I had those other friends who I thought were friends who were not, were telling me, drink as much as you want. Don't listen to them, blah, blah, blah. And I learned one of my early lessons is don't drink that much Hunch Punch and which friends to listen to. Is there any kind of lessons at that stage in your career that you learned throughout in UEW?
Yeah. I learned, it's pretty big. Don't get a buzz before you go out there and do a match.
Right.
Because you look horrible.
Yeah. You think you're more relaxed and you're going to be better, but it's one, it's dangerous. Don't do it.
Yeah.
And two, it just makes you 10 times more horrible, right?
It does. You think you're flying, and it's like, no, man, you've been doing the same thing for 10 minutes. And
yeah.
I'm blown up.
Yeah. We all we've done is locked up, brother. Yeah, I know. I still can't breathe. We're going to rest here a minute. All right. Let's work this.
We gotta hold it down. So
yeah. Let me catch my breath. I'll pull you in a headlock.
Yeah, we're like that night. I remember when Larry Popper, he probably drank a 12-pack before his match in that hardcore match. Yeah. As soon as he gigged, I just saw the blood every time.
Shooting out.
And I was like, well, he went deep.
Not in a metaphorical level. We're talking sometimes you go a little too deep, and most people have either had a crimson mass they hadn't exactly planned on or a little extra bleeding. I was just going over a story with Jen the other day about I only did one too deep, but it's one where you had buddies coming and everything else. Yeah, I already knew I was going over, so I was really psyched for it. So I just a little too excited, went a little too deep, and started squirting out. So we do a thing. I throw him out of the ring to give me a minute to kind of recover, and I look up the referee. I say, "Grab me a T-shirt." He goes, "Why?" Like, well, fuck, you mean why? I was like, so I can stop this bleeding shooting out of my head so I can finish the match. Just get me the shirt. You ever have any problems like that? Like, people don't understand how important a good ref is for a match, but can you talk a little bit about the third man in there and how important he is to you and you having a good match to kind of give them some props?
Golly, man, I would say he's a staple of your match, like, because he has to remember so much for me to get the story over.
Right.
If he's not staying on me or anything like that, I mean, it's definitely a skill set that I definitely respect him for, just because, right. I mean, golly, trying to think of all the matches I've had where it was crucial at that time for that ref to make sure his back was turned or make sure he took a bump the right way. That way he could come back in at the end. So, right. I mean, it's pretty big. So, but something that I would like to tell all the refs, like, especially the younger ones just getting into it, because you get with some of those veteran refs, they don't care what the finish is. If you don't get your shoulder up, they continue counting.
Right. Yeah.
And I try to tell workers too, don't bury the ref.
Right.
It's I hate seeing that, man.
Yeah. Everybody has a crucial part to the story, and if you crush their part to the story, then essentially you don't realize it, but you're ruining your own story too.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like heels that want to be too cool and don't want to put their faces over. It's like all you did was make it look like if you did win, who cares, and if you lose, who cares at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you pump that guy up as Superman, and then even if you cheat to beat him, you beat fucking Superman. And if not, then I lost to Superman, right?
Oh, exactly. So, I mean, I always tell everybody, the guy you're facing, if you go out and start calling him a little punk, he can't do nothing, and you beat him, well, all right, yeah, you beat that guy that you already said couldn't do nothing. But
Right.
they'll beat you, you just got beat by that guy. So you just put yourself. So I've always been big on that. So
yeah, I have too. It's about it's about the dance. It's about the story. It's about the match getting over. And if both people do their job, if the heel gets heat and makes the face shine, and the face knows how to get glory when he needs to, then you're going to tell a great story and you're going to have a great match. It's when you start have falterings in that communication to what's supposed to be going on and the general psychology of a match and what you're trying to do with it, then it feels like you're pulling against something. Is there a type of size person, faster, taller, flyers, big guys like you that you like to work that makes that a little easier to tell a story for you, or can you are you at the point now where you can just tell a story with anybody?
I feel pretty good, pretty confident about being able to tell stories with anybody.
I agree.
Like big guys, I enjoy working big guys. I think I really enjoy working Logan Creed the most when he and I work. It's just because we have the same mindset. Mm-hmm. So we both listen to each other. It ain't like two heads clashing or anything like that.
Right.
It's like, hey, let's make it look good for these people. So
you get the right dance partner, everything looks beautiful, right?
Yep. So, but then I love working smaller guys because there's such a good story there too. Like
right, David Goliath.
Yeah, you can mix that up any day, like any way. You mix it up anyhow you need to, and make it make sense. So
we've done it where I was the heel and you were the face. So there are stories to be told and ways to tell a story as long as you do it that makes sense. And I think that's one of the arts that's missing today is making even within wrestling and the as far out as they go, but just kind of making things make sense. Is that still something you feel like? Because you're more out there than I am nowadays. Is that something that's even important backstage now, or are they just trying to get their moves over because Granny's there to see them?
I think it's certain shows. Now certain shows, they want it to make sense. Everybody tell a story. So I'd say it's a mixture. I mean, you still have what you call the young boys and stuff that they want to go out there and do a ton of stuff, and it just I don't know. I've always said you could go out there and do 500 moonsaults, but at the end of the night, if you didn't make that memorable or anything like that, then what did you prove?
Right.
Whereas I could go out, maybe work a headlock, and then do maybe one or two big moves, and people will remember that more.
Because you make it count. As I was just thinking as you were saying that, if I'm wrestling a guy like you, your size, and I'm the face and you're the heel, I don't need to get moves over. What I need to do is get over by getting one move over.
Right, exactly.
Because you're so big, you're such a monster that if I can make you swag, if I can do anything, if I can penetrate the armor just a little bit, then to me that instills hope that I can do something, that I can do more, which would lead to people wanting to see us more, versus if I get in there being my size and just bounce you around like a rag doll, then why is then it kills both of us. And I don't think a lot of smaller guys understand that. From a bigger guy, what's it like to have to deal with that sometimes? Do you have littler guys that want to do a little more than would add legitness to it? Even, I always say in the far off spectacle that is pro wrestling, I get it. Some of the stuff we do is out there, but we still want people to suspend their disbelief even in today's wrestling, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've had guys before ask, like, want to body slam me or something, and I I just look at them in the back, and I'm like, well, go ahead and pick me up here. That way
Right.
we do it. So,
Yeah.
and
You
they're
get
like,
me to here.
I'm
You
like,
get me to here.
yeah. And so I tell them to try to pick me up. Usually, they can't, and they're like, well, you're going to post, right? And I'm like, well, the way I was trained, if there was a move, you do post for anyone, but they should physically be able to pick you up.
Yeah.
If they can't pick you up, then there's no need in doing it.
No, no.
So
It would have to be the blow off spot to the biggest angle ever. And there would still have to be, his tag team partner slides in and helps him from the side, but still get the
yeah,
pop. Because again, there's ways to tell a story and still add the realism to it, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like if he wanted to suplex me, and then at the end he got his partner in there too. Well, finally you doubled the weight, so you probably
Right.
weigh as I do at that time.
Yeah.
Y'all finally get it over on me. I think that's what makes sense in wrestling. So it needs to be believable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm so glad because there's still certain guys that I like to watch from the smallest, what they call, even some of the shit shows, there's some talent that shines through from there all the way up. There's still guys, and that's what makes me proud is when I see guys that still care about the realism. It's I have no problem with any certain style. I don't have a problem with high flying style or new style or old style or big man style or technical style. I think there's a place for everybody. Everybody has their niche. Everybody has their things that they like.
I
Um,
agree. I agree completely.
so just on a preference basis, what are some of the kind of matches you like to work best?
Mm, I would say big man style,
Mhm.
or
Well, you're a different big man too. So you people who have never seen you, they need to understand you're a super super athletic big man. Like you're not all. I mean, it's not like you've never used a big boot or a choke slam, but you're not all big boot and choke slam, which is what you typically think of. Like you were so more. I don't know how old school people are, but akin to a Vader or a Bam Bam Bigelow, some of the really super athletic guys. So how is that? Why you like working bigger guys too? Because you could work some of that in, or do you figure
Well,
out ways to work that in against smaller guys?
yeah, I mean, and I find ways to work that in against smaller guys, like the Claymore, where I leave my feet, and a lot of people, they can't believe the air that I can get when I jump up and I'm right there at
It's
their
a side.
head. Get your hand up, because it's coming. You just got to feel it and then go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
it's that surprises a lot of guys and stuff, or they'll call a spot where I need to get up real quick, and they don't realize that I'm pretty quick in the ring, and all of a sudden I've met them there at the ropes, and they're
yeah,
like, "Crap, how to get
yeah.
that?"
I get that more now than when I was younger, just because I'm so old now, and I've even like telling a few of the other guys it stops them how fast I still am, and they're like, "Oh, okay, okay."
Yeah, yeah,
So that's funny when there's not that glint in their eye, that acceptance, but
yeah. And there's the big guys that I've worked and all that, and then I enjoy doing like a T-bone suplex off the top rope, and what's neat is when I grab them, at first they freak out because I legit just pick them up where they can't, they're not
yeah,
touching ropes, and then I power them over.
yeah, yeah,
They're usually they're like, man, I couldn't post, and I was like, no, it's fine, because the way I've set it up, if I mess that up, it turns into you splashing down on me,
right,
versus
right, right.
and then nobody gets hurt. The other way, I just get you over, and I throw you over my head, and it's usually a pretty flat landed simultaneously. So
Yeah.
good bounce. So
Well, for your size too, I mean, I've worked you in everything from hardcore to tag team to singles,
yeah,
and you've never. Here's what I tell people: we hurt each other in the ring, but we don't injure each other. And you've never injured me ever. Very safe, very athletic, and it's one of the things I've explained to people. I have a low center of gravity. So for some people, even though I'm not real big, I can be hard to pick up. So I learned to do a lot of jump. I got big calves. I can give a big jump.
Yeah.
But certain guys I work like you, I can't give a jump to because you're already so strong that without muscling me, you're muscling me.
Right.
So if I add my jump to that, I'm going through the fucking roof.
Oh yeah.
So the young littler guys know who you're working. Especially us with a low center of gravity, some guys you're still going to have to give some help to. So don't think just everybody can muscle you over because you're a littler guy. They can't.
Yeah.
But some guys can, and those guys you need to know. You just go with it, and that's like you kept me safe. Yeah. I trusted my dance with you, so that was the important thing.
That's like the ultimate goal that I tell everyone. Like, I mean, I've been in the ring with guys that I don't care for, and but just because I don't care for them doesn't mean that I wouldn't take care of them in the ring.
Right.
I've never been one of those glory people to try to get revenge that way. I figure if we get a problem, we can handle it in the back. I don't need to see me handle my problems.
Have you ever had somebody try to handle it in the back with you, though? Really?
No, not yet.
First let me tell people you're seeing what we would call the shoot version of this gentleman. The monster's a whole different thing. It's the work version, but it's still Cyrus. Cyrus is a teddy bear. He's the nicest guy. One of the nicest I've ever met in pro wrestling. Takes care of you in the ring, takes care of you in the back. A perfect gentleman, polite, but not somebody I would think people would want to fuck with. Like, do people mistake your kindness for weakness at any point? Or has there anybody that thought I might try to test these waters? Or,
well, I had one guy, and this it's probably scared the hell out of him more than anything.
Yeah.
Ring, and he punched me, and when he did, it was a real punch. He just hit him right in the nose. It started bleeding. I just smiled at him, and he just got a dumbfounded look because he thought, sure enough.
Is he mad? Is he crazy?
Yeah, he just got everything he had. And then after the show, like, he had all his boys around him, and they were looking over at me like freaking out, like, oh God,
what's about to happen?
Yeah, and I walked over there to him, and I shook his hand. I said, "That's a good match, brother. I'm glad. I hope you had fun." And like, he was just, you could tell he was scared. And his friends, everybody was like, "Oh my God!" Like, all right, don't fuck with him.
Almost got murdered. Yeah. It's funny how the ego works, isn't it? That it propels us past our normal intelligence of those things.
Yeah. A little while after, I told him we were in the back room again. This was a couple years, and I let him know that I remembered it. And I told him, I said, "Here's the difference. If you would have done that in the back, I would have put you through a wall. But you did it out in front of a crowd, so you got your shot."
Right.
But I had more respect for the show and the crowd than
to react or receipt or.
And he just looked at me like, "Oh my God!" And he said he was so sorry. Like, he was like, "Man, I was just young and stupid. I've learned a lot since then, and all that." I was like, "No, I get it, man. We all do." And I said, "It's fine." And I was like, "But
you just need to know."
And I asked him then, I said, "You want to punch me back here real quick?" He's like, "Hell no, dude." He goes, "I gave you everything I had, and you just smiled at me and laughed."
I do. I just don't want you to punch me back. So is this a free shot offer, or how's this work? Can I have you sign something? I don't know.
Yeah. So I just, and I've had some guys, they try to be stiff with me in the ring, and I'll give them a good stiff shot.
I'm sorry, geez, you got to call me out right here live on.
I think the biggest way I get back is chops.
Yeah.
Like, Japan, they love chops, and I remember.
As do I.
Yeah, I was in one of the matches, and I was getting my chops. I probably took close to 10 chops. So then I chopped him one for
atomic chop. That's what I would call it.
I came down and it go through Cork and Hall, And the crowd was like, "Oh God," you know. I remember the next show we did. They said, "Cyrus, son, chops? No, it's okay.
No.
Chop? We not chop you either."
I love that. I love the people that want to negotiate before a match. They're always like,
Yeah.
"So I seen some video and you throwing some chops, and I was thinking I don't want to take those, and we could do something else instead." It's like, well, no.
Yeah. So it was funny. Like you know, it really got them. They nobody just wanted to be chopped. You know.
That's a little bit further in the journey. So let's back it back up now. So after UEW, I guess essentially the next place that we evolved to, and back then, and it is to still this day, it is certain cliquish, but there's this class that you seem to move with, from place to place. That's not only you and I have a connection through these places we're talking about, but so many other guys. So the next place I'm going to talk about is Empire Wrestling.
Yeah.
Also have some super great wrestling memories from Empire. That's where we had some of our hardcore matches. So many evolutions of Empire and so many interesting stories and things that happen. What are some of your best memories of Empire, things that have happened, people that were there, things like that going into the next part of our career?
Oh man, I remember I was in there with Adam Jacobs, and it was our it was
Nice.
time for the big blow off match, and so out of nowhere he jumped from the ring and tackled me over the barrier. We're working, and he tells me to slam him in the roll up door. And, I remember I picked him up and I misread what he said. Slamming, he wanted me to just go over there and tap like that to make it. Well, I went over there and I went with force, and we brought the roll up door down. Like it crushed out, and I remember looking at him saying, "Susan's going to kill me." Like, I was like, "Oh man, I'm dead, dude." And he was like, "Yeah, I didn't mean to put me through the door."
So, make the noise, man. I just needed the noise made. It's like, well, we did make a noise.
Yeah, I was like, looking for realism, you know. I mean, I
really can't do it.
So, but then, golly, that was a lot of fun. And then, what was it? I think Hampton and we did something. We set up boards over the ring to the stage, and we did some type of. I'm trying to remember what it was. Choke slam, something like that. Well, we both went through it. So, I mean, that was pretty big. And I enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun.
Putting Hampton through things is a lot of fun. I'll have to agree with that.
Yeah, I enjoy it. So, but golly, I think one of the funnest things is when we did the whole group Illuminati. You know,
that was a good angle.
And I think like some of my best memories there's they'd put us in 6-mans and stuff with Brandon and Jason and myself, and that. And there's nothing wrong with this, but some people they'll call a whole match.
Yeah.
Then
some people,
I'm not good at that.
I know who some people are.
Yeah. Well, I'm not that great at it.
So. No, me either. More than 3 moves, I'm going to forget. You better be calling it.
Yeah, I'm like, well. So finally, it got to the point. I'm like, yeah, I got it. So we're out there the first time, and we're working everything, and they tagged me in. What I do, I remember Corey was in there at the time, and I come in there, and I just start hitting them, bam, bam, bam. Then I slam them, and you hear Jason, brother, that's not the spot. That's not the spot. I look over and I said, I don't care.
It is now.
Yeah. So it got to the point then when we were doing 6-mans, they would be calling the match, and then they'd say, well, we're going to tag Cyrus in. He's going to come in, do his big guy stuff, whatever he wants to do, really. And then when he tags back out, we'll go back into these spots.
We'll either have him tag out, or we'll all attack him and throw him out over or under or something. And then while he's on the ground, we're going to do some spots. Yeah. We're going to pick him back up, bring him back in, and he's going to beat us up again. Yeah, but really, that kind of makes sense anyway. It's a good way to do it, right?
Yeah, it is. So
before we go any further, what is I was told you love the nickname Biscuit Head. Why? Who did that come from, and why is that? What does that have to do with?
that was Sing Nick there.
It is.
You know, my good
Sing Nick.
My good nickname for him's Kermit the Frog.
Kermit the Frog, gotcha. Okay.
Calling Kermit. So
Kermit.
Yeah.
So they're just terms of endearment.
Yeah. We just, we like to give each other hell and stuff. So it's pretty good stuff. So, and I've always liked Scene anyway. He's a good guy in my book.
Yeah, he is always positive stuff. Love to read his stuff. Definitely. I never got a chance to work with him, unfortunately, and I'm pretty much done and doing this now. Having a good time, but after Empire, the very next place up that we had was a place that one of those common guys, Woody, started. GPW actually started out as, what was it? Deep South?
Yeah, DSCW.
DSCW,
yep.
Right. And then eventually kind of morphed into the GPW.
Yeah.
That was a whole new kind of different special to me. What was the GPW experience like for you going through that? And then I'll tell a funny little story about main eventing a Monsters tournament.
I thought it was amazing. I loved it. Like that's one of those, one of the smaller guys that I feuded with it was like a 6-month angle was Torque.
Mm-hmm.
And I go back and I still watch those matches. Like, we told such a good story. And then when he finally went over in that final match, like, the crowd no longer was behind him. Like, they would get there where they thought he finally had me, and then I'd take it away from him.
Yes.
And then when he finally got it, like, the whole building erupted. And
that's the way you do it. See, that's unfortunately, it's not done that way anymore. There's not, I mean, even if you have 2 or 3 weeks, you can tell a little bit of a story.
Yeah.
And back when I was coming up and you were coming up, you went to different places, but you had, I guess, what you'd call a kind of a home spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you come back to. It may exist some today, but I think less today than it did back then, right?
Right.
And these places came places for us to come back to.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the things that happened in my career, I want to give another shout out to Greg Hollander or Woody, were because of that man. Who were some of the mentors and people that you kind of wouldn't be Cyrus or where you were at today without it, personally?
A lot of them would be Jamie Kyle, Skinny Kenny, of course.
Skinny Kenny.
Woody, Big Wood, Ted Allen for sure. He helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Whenever he was on the show, he would come early and he'd work with me for like 2 hours, just showing me stuff, And then, hey,
so great at like tightening up your game and your, whether it was the mental part of it or the physical part or how to tell a story. Like, he was so good at tweaking you personally, right?
Yeah, and I remember I had one match where I did some huge move and the guy kicked out, and I got to the back, and I remember Ted coming up to me and he said, he goes, I ever see you do something like that again and not pin the guy and tell him not to kick out,
mm-hmm.
He goes, you're going to deal with me. And and I was like, oh. So he's like, I don't care what the promoter says or anything. You do something that big, you pin them, it's done.
Yeah, it's got to be, right? Yeah.
I was like, yes, sir.
Yeah, and a sage wisdom advice, because I'm sure when you first started, you want to impress people too. So you have the ability, you're athletic, so you can bump, you can do things. And I've worked with a lot of bigger guys that wanted to sell for me way more, and I had to explain to them why they couldn't and how we needed to do it to make it make sense. I'm like, if I do all these things to you, then how are people going to believe that you can stand toe to toe with somebody your size if somebody my size you have that much trouble with,
Oh, exactly. And in my younger days, you know, if I wasn't working guys like you and I was inexperienced and I was working other guys, you know, they did want me to bump like crazy, and I would, just because I wanted that, hey, I can do this.
Right,
and,
right.
you know, it was just one of those things. So, you know, that was like, you know, Robbie Griffin with UE, like, you know, he talked to me a few times. Like he'd speak with me about stuff and all that. So he really kind of took me under his wing, you know, at UPW, and I had a lot of respect for him for it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Very knowledgeable, him and his dad.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys around there, Gene the King, and a lot of those old school guys, I think that's kind of what's missing a lot in locker rooms today too, is there's not as many Skinny Kennies and Woods and people like that. How, like, now you're getting to where you're the Skinny Kenny, you're the Jamie Kyle. How does it feel to be on the other side of that now, and to be more in the mentor veteran role versus, even though I know we always still feel like I still feel like there's more I got to learn. I know you still feel like you're young, got more to learn and everything, but still you're you know, age wise and length wise, you're well on that other side. So what does that feel like, being in the locker room and being that person now?
I mean, it feels good. Like, if, you know, if there's young kids and stuff that want to listen to you and listen to how everything goes. And, you know, the way I always came about it, it wasn't, I always remembered, I didn't ever ask, like, well, did this all look good or anything? I'd be like, no, what did you see that I did wrong that I could improve on?
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's missing a lot.
Yeah, it is, and there needs to be a balance too. I always like a balance. I'm going to let you know what I felt like, and some stuff is subjective, and I'll let you know that too. This is subjective. This is what I like to see. Other people may disagree with me. You need to find out what works best for you and your character. But it's that same kind of thing. But you also want to say, you know, this other stuff you did, now you did really good. I would keep that in your shit. Like, that's like, I don't know if you heard that or not, but that got really over. And you need to know those things too, because especially younger, you're just trying to remember spots. You're trying to think of a different move to do. You're not really in tune with the crowd yet, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, and at that time, you really haven't, your character's still developing.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing that I tell guys now too. It's, yeah, you went out there and did all this really cool stuff, but I never once saw the fake.
Yeah.
Once saw you connect with anyone out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, it don't have to be anybody particular. Like,
no,
you can go out there and be a heel without even, you don't have to put down anybody in the crowd. You can just be a jerk and just look at people with a shit-eating grin, and they don't they hate you. Then they're like, you know what, for you, buddy.
Just a little bit of a condemnation, and you just you pick it up. A lot of people, I forget. There's two things that I think can be missing a little bit. I watch matches and see pictures of different holds and stuff. Is people selling it with their faces, the facial expressions, and how important it is for those to come through to help tell the story. And the other thing is selling on offense. Like, everybody thinks of selling, they think just on defense, but you really got to sell on offense too. If I'm throwing a punch, I got to sell it. You got to buy it. You know, if I'm anything, a hold, anything, I still got to sell that. And a lot of guys are so stiff on the selling of the other side.
Right. Yeah. They kind of forget of selling on the offensive side. It's one of those switches. I don't know. My music starts, I flip a switch, and then you're getting a monster, you know? So I go out there, and I think, one of my favorite things to show facial expressions and sell is when I get them in the corner and I start punching them in the stomach, and finally they sit down. Then I start with the gorilla slams.
Right.
And I'm screaming during that. And
yeah.
Trying to make it look like as psychotic as ever. Like,
in your pictures, you can see it. You see the facial expressions, and that's if I had a photographer friend of mine kind of joke with me about how camera ready we were, and it's true, because we're always waiting for the lens, whether it's the lens of somebody's eye on us or a camera or so we can sell to it. Like, we really need to have something to sell to. So that's really why I think we're so good at doing stuff like that, and you need to be. Is there anything else you see that kind of makes it not so magic nowadays that you wish people were still doing, or wish people didn't do? Or
Man. Well, kayfabe's way gone.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still possible at the highest levels of talents. You can still work people, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've had plenty of matches where we worked people and they were like, "Are y'all okay?" Because and you work the workers like in the back. Think y'all
I've
really
been worked.
Yeah, and it's like
it happens.
Yeah, we were good. We're just wrestling. So
yeah,
it feels good when you can get people to believe that.
I love that when people, you kind of feel bad because they're worried about you, but it still feels good when they do ask you that in the back, right? They're like, "You all right? What happened? What's wrong?
Yeah, they thought I wanted to kill this guy one time. Oh, Talon and I, we did a thing, and they thought I wanted to kill him at the end. I threw a chair at him, like while he was outside.
Oh wait, did you though?
What?
Want to kill him?
Yeah.
I heard John. I was like, maybe this is a shooting. He's just trying to play it off. Yeah, I didn't really want to kill him.
But I remember I threw that chair at him. I caught him a little punk. And I told him,
right,
"Let's get your ass back in the ring." And like, the crowd actually believed that I was wanting to hurt him. And then the guy in the back thought they were going to have to hold me off of him. Like, they thought I was really that pissed.
Like, we better, get some guys together.
Yeah. So
I love that. And it's the same thing with magic. Like, I know how most close-up magic is done, but my son Tony was so good at close-up magic that even though I know how it was done, I respected it. It was fun to watch because of the skill level. And it's the same thing with pro wrestling. I get into it sometimes and it suspends my disbelief still if it's good, if it's a well-told story, if it's well-crafted, then I get into it just as much as anybody else, which around the time I came in, it seemed to be a thing, especially for veterans, pretend like they hated wrestling. It's like, I'm here again. I hate to be here. It's like you fucking love it. Quit playing.
Right.
This is jumping ahead a little bit. So we went through UEW, Empire, GPW, a lot of great memories in all those places. When and how do you find out the first time that you're going to be going to Japan, and what did that feel like?
Man, that was crazy. Sonny and Kaz Hayashi, they came to One Fall Power Factory, which is now the Nightmare Factory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Michael and I were talking, QT.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "I think you should really try out for it." And I'd still tell everybody it was the night before the trial. I had a show, and I told him, I was like, "Man, I don't think I'm going to do it." Like, I was like, I just don't, I don't think that, I might not be the guy that they're looking for,
Right.
QT was like, he said, "Can I be honest with you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it sunk with me ever since then. He goes, I think what it is that you're afraid of success more than failure. Like, you
Absolutely.
don't care to fail. And I'm like, right. He's like, but the success, the strenuous that it puts on you and your family, you have to travel then.
Mm-hmm.
But you're getting
to step up your level. You have to step up your game. Success can be scary, if not more scary than failure, for sure.
Yeah. So I listened to him, and then I got home and I just thought about it throughout the night. I woke up early and I was like, all right, I'm going. And I grabbed my stuff, got in the truck, took off, and I showed up. Of course, I was the last one there because, I was late, of course.
Yeah.
But they hadn't started anything yet. I remember QT messaged me, and I was like, man, I'm almost there. I sent a picture of the traffic because I was having to go through some stupid traffic. And I was like, I didn't want, he's joshing me or whatever. So I went in there and signed it. And Sonny looked at me the first time. He's like, "You ever been to Japan?" I was like, "No, sir." And so we do the tryout, and there are guys there. And, I'm thinking, I'm looking at these guys that are like freaking shredded, like six packs, they look good. They look legit, that's like professional wrestler, and, so they put us in matches, and they only wanted like 3-minute matches or whatever. And I remember the guy and I that were talking, I told him, I said, I just want to do two things. I said, I want to do the Vader bomb and a fall away.
Yeah.
I was like, other than that, I want to sell. Like, I want to sell the facial features and stuff.
Right.
And he goes, all right. And, he did his stuff and I was doing mine. We told the story. We ended it. I think we ended it at like 4:36, something like that. Yeah. And, Kaz seemed like he was smiling the whole time I was working. Because, like, even on, like, when I have someone in that head hold and I give that face, and I was connecting with him, like, making the eye contact. Oh, hey. And, after it was all done, they deliberated for about 30 minutes or so, and we're standing there. And, the first guy they call is Trevor Aaron, and and
familiar with him.
Yeah, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, hell, I gave it my best, so, and I felt good. And then when they called my name, I was stunned. Like, I was legit, just like, what?
Was your next thought like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you weren't expecting that. So when it did, like, it was so unexpected, now you've got to change your mindset like in an instant, right?
Yeah, I mean, but seriously, like, I remember getting in the ring and, like, tears literally came to my eyes because I was so happy to have accomplished that, and that they saw in me to move me forward, because I was still growing muscle, but I wasn't like super level yet.
Right.
But it was just very humbling, and I absolutely loved it. And then it was just surreal, like, you're just okay.
And you've been like that. I'll have to tell people all the way back to UEW. You were that same way. You were just kind of scared of success. Like you felt real comfortable where I'm at. You will actually work your way up to comfortable, and then you kind of want to sit there, and then somebody, I think, will come egg you along a little bit and push you to that next level. Is kind of how it happened, right?
Yeah, because, I mean, you get used to being a big fish in a little pond, and then finally someone's like, no, you need to come to this bigger pond with these bigger fish.
This good, but maybe not that good.
Right.
But you are, and I've people hearing it now aren't going to understand, but because we had talks way back then. But I've been telling you since day one, like this is for you. You got the look, you got the charisma, you got, you move so poetic in the ring for a big guy. Like, you have everything that I would think a promoter, old school, new school, or in between would want. Like, you could really work in, like you said, with anybody. And it's great, not just to see you make it, because I know you could if you wanted to, but to see you finally have the confidence and push through and do it. How does it feel now that you're on the other side? Like, what's the next step for Cyrus after this?
And it'd honestly be getting back over to Japan for real. Like, I'm ready to get.
Is that close to happening? Do you know how close is that? I'm not familiar with their country and where they're at with coronavirus yet. I know ours is opening up and stuff, but
originally we were supposed to go back in July, but with the whole virus and all that, they're not even letting foreign spectators in for the Olympics or anything.
That's right. Yeah, I do remember hearing that. So,
they're thinking now maybe September, October, maybe. So,
okay.
So,
that's still something to look forward to. So the people,
because
until then, do you have dates coming up in America now that some shows are opening up? Or
yeah, AML's, they're kicking back full force. Southern Honor Wrestling, they're kicking up. I've got some show dates in Savannah, and then I've got Villarica coming up. So and then soon Wildcats coming back in Louisiana. So
where all can people find you, like, online and stuff? Are you? I guess you're pretty much on all social media, right? Facebook.
Yeah, you just
Cyrus or
McQuarter. You can look up Cyrus McQuarter, and you can get that linked up. Facebook, Instagram. I'm not on Twitter a ton, but on TikTok a lot. So I like to
do little dances.
Yeah, that's
because there's nothing. Look, I would buy a pay-per-view that was nothing but you doing TikTok dances.
Yes, I would do
So,
it.
you can even do OnlyFans, but instead of being naked, it's just you doing TikTok dances.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd be the richest guy ever.
Yeah, I do. Like, I get on there and I do like just my powerlifting stuff.
Yeah.
Just to show.
Which I tease you endlessly about online, but it's so fucking impressive. It's crazy. Like if you've ever seen any of the world's strongest man, the stuff he does is not just bench press and stuff. He's pulling fucking cars and walking around doing farmers carries with, what was that, like 9 billion pounds or something like that?
Yeah, no, that was only like 450. So
well, only 450. So that was like what, warm up for you, or
I get to go and I make sure I get at least 30 steps in before I put it down. So
So I've recently moved up to 30-pound kettlebells to do my farmer carries. That's a total of 60 for y'all that having trouble with the math. Which he was just talking about, 450, whatever. And I just want to give you guys some comparisons so you understand what we're talking about. And I'm very proud of myself for hitting that 30 pounds and being able to carry it. I'm back to the point where it's only one trip from the car to the refrigerator pulling in groceries, which is what every man needs to do to be a man, right?
Right. Yeah. It's like, man, I can grab all them bags.
Yeah.
And then you put stuff, and you're just walking. You're like, I got this.
Well, I can grab all the bags. You could actually pick up the car and set it inside if you needed to. Okay, I'm just going to hold the car. Y'all go ahead and grab the groceries out, and I'll set it back.
Yeah, it's that's just something that's really helped me is focusing on being stronger. Like, I tell people I wasn't never meant to be a skinny guy and ripped, and it's just I'm not. My genetics are not for that. They're for just being strong, and just being big and thick.
Yeah, and I don't think it needs to be. It may be. I'm not a promoter. I've never talked to some of those bigger promoters, but I don't think, unless your name is starts with Vince and ends with McMahon, that's necessarily a end all be all, because there's like some of the guys we mentioned, so many talented guys weren't built like that, but it didn't take away from their athleticism or their talent or their storytelling ability in the ring.
I mean, look
which
at
is when I talk about, yeah.
Abdullah the Butcher, man, that guy, people were legit scared of that guy.
Yeah.
And he's such a good guy.
R.I.P. recently passed New Jack.
Yeah.
Talk about believability. The boys in the back got nervous when he was going to be in the dressing room.
Yeah. Yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah, I was on a couple of shows with New Jack, and like he was a super cool guy. I mean,
yeah, that's
you could tell. I think the reason he did some of the stuff he did was because it pissed him off that these guys thought they knew everything.
The egos that sometimes are attached to some of these guys, right? Especially on these local shows that are doing the exact same show you are, but yet they still would look down on you. It's like, really?
Yeah. That's I don't know.
Especially a guy like you, because a guy like me, they had a tough enough dude. They could put him over me if I refuse. Like you're literally giving them a blessing if you decide to put somebody over. So just even a lot of guys won't respect that fact that you're the kind of gift that you're giving them. They don't understand the rub or like I said, like if I was a starting guy today, I wouldn't care about beating you or anything else. I would just want to make you sell a tiny bit at some point in time in the match. Like I would want you to murder me the rest of the time. And then maybe the next time, maybe just a little bit more, just enough to be noticeable, till we built up to something to where you're still beating me throughout that match. But then that match I go over, like you were talking about. And then now there's a reasoning behind it. Now there's you worked up to it. You didn't just now you still look great because it took me 15 times to beat you and all this. I probably had to come up with some hocus pocus, whether I was a face or a heel. So the story makes sense. But doing something like that, what is your favorite kind of match storyline to work? Like that's one of my favorite long term.
Uh, yeah, I would say to be that physical part, like at the beginning, just unstoppable, and then each time you figure out a different way to bring me. Then finally, there at the end, you're able to put everything together.
Right.
Finally over. So.
Right. If I'm a veteran over, or if you're young enough, you don't need to be over yet, then you just get off a big move, or maybe you get your special move on him and get a 2 count. Those things are so underrepresented for how it's the little things in pro wrestling, right?
Yeah, it really is. It's the little things that count and matter. I mean, I think that was like even with Wildcat wrestling. I remember Cox and them. They came down to Cornelia. We're running a Wildcat show there. Luke put me up against Buku, and this dude's awesome. Like one of the best workers I've seen. Luke was like, "Hey, I know we're in your hometown, so I'm pretty sure you're wanting to go over." And I said, "No." I said, "Actually, I want him to go over. I want to show you that I can work as a big man and put a smaller guy over.
Right, that I can make it look good."
Yeah, and I told him, I said, "That way you'll give me a chance at Wildcat." And as soon as I done that, I was on the next Wildcat show.
Wow.
I was on another show. And Luke wanted to start building me, and then the coronavirus happened. And, he got me in touch with Brian and Tracy with AML.
Yeah.
At WrestleCade. And I think that was one of the coolest things. I got to be Muda's private security that weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Sonny called me up and asked me to.
Well, just being with Sonny is cool to me because I remember from way back in the day too. So maybe some of the newer guys may not know who that is and stuff, but for me, like as soon as I seen that, I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like that is a perfect fucking manager for him, and for him to go do the Japan thing, it's like it's perfect. It's like the universe knew what the hell it was doing with you, brother.
Yeah. So I mean, I was very fortunate and blessed on that. So that I feel, but. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But all that opened the doors up for me. So, this year will be I'm with AML for the foreseeable future. And I'm already
can they be seen? Do they have anything on YouTube or the Fight TV or anything like that right now? Or
I'm not sure yet, but I do know that I am booked for WrestleCade with them. So So, and that's
a great show. Who all was going to be on that show with you? Do you remember? Do you know any names? Or
I don't right now because it's still they're still working on it and
still in production, pre-production.
It's if you love wrestling, it's one of the best weekends ever. Like it's a Friday, Sunday, and it's
an event. It's an event, not just a match. It's an event, right?
Huge. They usually on the Saturday they usually have a huge signing event. So that's like when Muda was there, Bubba Ray, he was there, like Atlas was there, all these people. Well,
I feel like you're on the precipice. So if people have an opportunity to come get to see you live or to come get your autograph, like I would suggest doing it now while it's a lot easier to get to, because I just feel like at some point, and how does that feel to you to be at that point now? Does it, you just feel like the same, or does it feel any different? Or
it feels good. It feels good to be real humble about it too.
Yeah.
Like remembering where I came from.
Yeah,
I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I don't doubt that, and I don't think that would ever be a problem for you anyway. You have such great character, so I really think that that shows through in who you are and through your behavior.
Yeah. And, if I could give any worker advice in wrestling, do not air your dirty laundry on social media.
On social media,
yeah. Golly. Promoters will not book you.
No. So let me ask you this. In that same vein, if you could go back and talk to a 15, a 13, a 12, a 10-year-old Cyrus, what advice would this Cyrus give to that person?
Just, stay humble and respectful. I was pretty much raised that way my whole life with my mama. You know, I got out of line. I got smacked. So, you know, you
Right.
learn. You learn. You don't mess with
I
mama.
still would, yeah. Yeah.
I still get people they don't get offended, but I'll say yes sir, yes ma'am, and they're like,
Right.
well, no, or even if they're younger than me, and they're like, I'm younger than you. I'm like, I don't care. It comes out. I
Term of respect.
don't
Yeah,
know.
it's just a term of respect.
Yeah,
It's not an age thing. People take it as an age thing, but it's truly not. It's just
yeah, it's all forms of respect. So usually that wears into people, and they're like, okay, all right. So I
yeah. I was raised
I
by a
just can't.
single mother, so I know all about that stuff too. It's you're raised to be a gentleman for sure.
Yeah. So that was the biggest thing. So I mean, I just like to tell everybody, it's a work. It's not real.
Yeah, and it gets and I never thought of it before, but I kind of get it more now than I did then because I used to say the same thing. It's like it's a work, guys. Come on. I think some guys there's just so much passion and there's so much method to it. That a
Mm-hmm.
lot of guys it is so much like they are turned up that it's hard to separate who the shoot guy is from the work guy. Do you ever have that problem, or is it just a switch for you and you're Cyrus 1 minute and now you're the monster the next?
That's how it goes. Honestly, it's just that switch. I turn it off when I leave. I might turn it on when I'm working out, because it gets
Right.
me. But other than that, it's honestly that switch. It's
Yeah.
like everybody, that's my escape. Like I've always told everyone, I've wrestled in front of 5 people before, and
Mm-hmm.
and I still gave them the same thing as being in front of 500.
Yeah.
Or more, just because those people they
Bought a ticket just like the other people did, right?
worked all week, and
Yeah.
they could have went to the movies, they could have
Mm-hmm.
went, but they decided to come see us.
Yeah.
So I find it disrespectful when guys in the back were like, "Well, there ain't a big crowd, so we ain't doing nothing."
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can't have that mindset. You
It's the
you
wrong
want
attitude.
and help them because you don't know if they've had just a horrible week at work, and you go out there and you change them and they get happy and all that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like
to be able to give them the same relief that you received from wrestling, because that's really what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to complete the cycle. We grew up and it brought us out of whatever we need to be brought out of when we were watching it, and probably still does to some extent, because there's always things that happen in life. But that's really our goal in the ring, right? Is to make them experience that just being away for a minute, right?
yeah, everybody has to have those escapes. I mean, that's why we
Mm-hmm.
do watch movies or TV shows, that way we can escape reality for just that little bit. And
Yeah.
it's great medicine for our minds, and I mean really good for mental health, like
Mm-hmm.
to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And too, like I have a huge heart for kids. I love kids, all that. Like when I was younger, I was bullied as a kid and
Mm-hmm.
all that. And then, I finally just said enough's enough one day. So
Yeah.
I love being around those kids and letting them know like they can do anything they can put their mind to.
Right.
So I've got a big heart for that. And
That's at the end of the day, that was what it's all about. And I think a lot of people forget that when it comes to everything from Christmas to pro wrestling is that it's about both the kids chronologically and the kids within ourselves. And as long as like I tell people, if you really want to get back to loving wrestling, watch it with like a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old.
oh yeah.
Don't watch it with smarks. Don't watch it with, people that want to pick apart every tiny little thing. It's like, can we just enjoy it?
And I think some of the greatest compliments I've ever gotten was when people would say, man, I don't, this is the first wrestling show I've ever been to. I don't even like it. I don't even like wrestling, but man, it was so much fun watching you.
Yeah.
Like you got me involved.
Yeah.
And did I go out there and do a ton of stuff? No,
No.
I got the crowd involved. I wanted to entertain them. So
You made them. Yeah, we were talking about the third man, but there's a fourth man too. There's 4 components to a match going off like it needs to be. Whether there's 5 or 500 people in the crowd, you got the crowd, you got both workers, and you got the referee.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
if any one of those components is off, it can throw everything off. You want to bring those people on that ride with you. And too many wrestlers are just, they're at an amusement park. They're going on the ride, but they're not connecting with anybody outside of the ride that they're on.
Yeah.
We're trying to pop the boys in the back, or which is fine too. I understand that, and the feeling that comes from your peers appreciating your work. But when it comes down to it, it's for the fans, and you need to kind of make them a part of your story, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You need to bring it into them, like, yeah, even places where I'm a heel. It's funny. I'll be a heel, and I come out and whatever, and like, kids want to meet me because it's like he's so big, and I want to get my picture with Cyrus because he looks crazy, and it feels good. It lets me know that I told a good story.
I think kids too. I think even though somebody more my age looking at you on like some of those pictures and stuff, that like you're just this scary guy. I think kids are better at picking up on vibes of people, and I think they just pick up that in real life you're a teddy bear and that you're safe.
Yeah.
I think they really pick up on that vibe. So that's cool when the kids really like your stuff and feel that way about you, even when you're a heel and stuff.
Oh yeah, and I love it. Like everybody comes up, and I always say, "Man, you're like the young Vader."
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're like such a mix of these, all these guys. You have a little bit of their talent to. You're more complete than any one of them are. That's why it's really hard to compare you to any one of them without using several, because you're so complex.
That's even like you go back to the UEW days when everybody were like, "Well, who trained you?" I'm like, "Well, I was a Han 57 guy."
Right, a little bit of everybody.
The guy that brought me in, he told me, he said, "Man, I can't wrestle worth a crap, but I can bump." Yeah. He goes, "Show you how to bump." And he goes, and then you'll have to just pick up on everybody else. Because there's something to learn from everyone. And I took that very strong. I was like, okay, you got it. And sure enough, that's what I started doing.
And that's how you end up being complete. Well, man, I have super enjoyed having you on the program. I know everybody's going to enjoy seeing you. A thing I tell all of my guests at the end of the day is you gave me the gift of time, and I think that's the most precious gift that you can give somebody. So I appreciate you giving us a gift of your times. I know you're a busy guy. I know you got work and wrestling and family and the dog and everything. So thank you so much for being on the show, brother.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
And I love you, and I hope you all the success in the world. And if you'll just hang out, I'll get rid of you on here, but then I'm going to holler at you on the phone right quick to wrap up some stuff. But man, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to tell anybody about anything coming up, or anything you just want to say before you go?
No, I'm just I'm privileged to be able to wrestle for like any fans watching this or anything. Thank you for buying tickets and supporting indie wrestling.
Yeah, and if you see me on Facebook, like I said, you'll probably see me give him a hard time. That's because we're friends. But in real life, I have the utmost respect for this man as both a man and a professional wrestler. So if you get the opportunity, then go see him. Thanks, everybody, for watching another edition of Chronic Conversations, our very first live cast. Woohoo! We made it through. Jen, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
See ya.
Love you guys. Thank you so much. El Matador, she's reading me the news. Okay, all right, we'll wrap it up and we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.